tuned in to The Andrew Lawton Show.
We have been covering over the course of the week on this show and in True North's coverage more broadly, the horrific terror attacks that have been taking place against Israel and against Israelis. And we've been covering the Canadian response to this, both from Canadian officials and also from Canadian communities, both Jewish and non-Jewish. And well, on one hand, I think it is very easy to dismiss this for some of these people that want to have their heads in the sand about the world as just an Israel thing. I would encourage you to look more closely. The attacks that are taking place against Israelis are, if a lot of the rabid anti-Israel and anti-Semitic folks have their way, not going to be limited to Israel at all. A Hamas official has actually called for a global jihad, in his words, against Jewish people around the world. We have in London, England, schools that have said they will close tomorrow. We've had synagogues that have had to ramp up security. And I've not really heard from the federal government much in the way of very definitive steps that are being taken, that are taking place to protect the Jewish people tomorrow in communities across Canada. Conservative Party of Canada Deputy Leader and Thornhill MP Melissa Lantsman joins me now. Melissa, let me just first and foremost say my thoughts and condolences are with your community and your friends and family through this time. I'm not a Jewish person. I'm a great ally of Israel, but I've not had to shoulder this the way Jewish people in Canada have. How real are these concerns about tomorrow?
Well, look, I think they're a big concern from so many members in the community. And first off, I should say thank you, and thank you to all of those who have reached out, who don't have to say the things that they did, but super appreciative of the thoughts and the prayers, certainly for the people on the ground. But in our own community, there is a heightened sense of fear, and that's exactly what these messages are intended to do. When a terrorist leader calls on something like this around the world, its intention is to destabilize the normal daily lives of Jews living in communities abroad and instill fear in the community. And that's exactly what it's doing.
One of the things that is so inspiring whenever Jews are targeted in attacks is the resilience of the Jewish people. I mean, this is a community that has survived the Holocaust, has survived numerous attacks on the existence of Israel and continued ones. This is very different than a lot of these stories that have emerged in the last few years, both in death toll and I think the narrative. And I'm wondering just in general, when you see a lot of the discussions in the media and online about this, what are they missing?
Well, look, I think depending on which media you're looking at, they're missing the point entirely. We have media in Canada that won't use the word terrorist when they talk about Hamas. So, that's a complete revision of what is happening here. You have the sick, sadistic terrorist organization committing crimes on women, on children, on elderly Holocaust survivors, kidnapping them. We've heard stories and frankly seen images that we've never really seen before. You almost are watching this in real time, as if you would be on a body cam if you were interested in that kind of thing. This is disheartening, certainly from the community, for the community, and the resilience for the community. You're right. Throughout history, biblical history, there is instance after instance of those trying to eradicate the Jewish people, and this genocidal terrorist group is no different. Their goal is one goal, and that's the eradication of Israel and the eradication of Jews around the world.
The federal government has, I think, said the right things when it comes to condemning Hamas. Justin Trudeau and your leader, Pierre Poilievre, both spoke very eloquently on Monday night. They've been unequivocal that Hamas is a terror group. When you look at the efforts that the government has been doing, or, I mean, in some cases not been doing, to help Canadians in Israel, though, tremendous doublespeak here. I mean, on one hand, we were hearing from the foreign minister, Melanie Joly, that everything was hunky-dory and that the officials in Tel Aviv were working all through the weekend. And then we find out yesterday that the embassy was in fact closed and everything was being handled out of Ottawa. What's your take on this? I mean, is the government doing enough to help Canadians, just this basic consular role that Global Affairs is supposed to be providing?
Well, look, certainly not, and we've managed to call and push the government for the people watching. They might understand the riding that I'm so lucky to represent has the largest number of Jews anywhere in the country, and at any given time, there are tons who are visiting, studying, celebrating something in Israel. So the very fact that they would reach out to our office suggests that they're not getting the answers that they need from government. Nobody on the other end of the phone, an auto standard reply saying, please don't travel to Israel, to people who are in Israel, saying that the embassy is open, the embassy is closed, call this number, but nobody answers. And when you're in a situation where you are fearful, you should, at the very least, expect that the government is going to answer the phone. So they were slow off the mark, slow to start. And finally, after a major push, do we have the first flights out of Canadians wanting to come home.
You mentioned that fear is the goal for Hamas and its supporters. Just in closing, Melissa, what's your message to Jewish Canadians, but I'd say all Canadians, for taking the next few days and weeks?
This is all Canadians, and I would say, watch who has the courage to stand by their conviction. Watch very carefully that the words that are used. For those in our own community here north of Toronto, and in Jewish communities and in other communities across the country, stay vigilant, and we will make sure that we continue to push on the government to keep Canadians safe wherever they are, whether they are in Canada or they are traveling abroad and want to get home.
Deputy Conservative Leader Melissa Lantsman, thank you so much for coming on, and try to stay as comfortable and as peaceful as you can in these very difficult times. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to The Andrew Lawton Show. Support the program by donating to True North at www.tnc.news.